Sophie, good to see you at the desk again.
Good afternoon.
We are indeed at a defining moment that will shape our global development agenda for the next 15 years. Will these new goals actually succeed where the MDGs have failed? And how do they differ from the goals adopted 15 years ago? One gets a sense that they're much more universal in that an eye is not only on developing nations' scorecards, but on everybody.
Well, the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is optimistic because when you look at how they arrived at these development goals, there was a proper consultation with different role players like your NGOs, like your political leaders, and also the youth, the women, and everybody was taken on board. And therefore, there is hope that indeed they will succeed in ensuring that these development goals are indeed a success or are implemented.
Yes, a major consultative process was embarked on. The summit, of course, right now, coming against the backdrop of multiple global challenges or global turmoil. We're seeing the worst migrant crisis on the European continent right now since the Second World War, and then the threat of climate change looming large over everybody. How will this impact on the summit right now and the decisions taken there so far?
Well, the Pope summed it very well yesterday when he called for political leadership and political consciousness in terms of ensuring that the world is indeed addressing these challenges with earnest and with a sense of agency. The issue of migration, the issue of refugees, which is indeed a crisis. And in this summit, these are the issues that are likely to dominate the summit, but also on the sideline of the summit where you have committees where they are discussing issues such as migration, issues such as the peace and security in the globe. These issues will play themselves, and indeed leaders will have to come up with concrete resolutions in terms of how are they going to address these challenges. And Europe in particular will have to be clear when they make a presentation on the way forward, but also other leaders must also assist in terms of putting forward the ideas how this matter can be resolved. For an example, the issue of migration, the issue of refugees, the continent of Africa must ensure that there's peace and stability and there are jobs and there's prosperity so that Africans don't die in the sea.
Of course. So by the end of today or tomorrow at the latest, we are hoping we have some sort of global roadmap. But where do we go then, Sophie? Pledges are all good and well. What we need is follow through. We need solid proof of the world's commitment, and that will lie in the measuring of such goals. How will these goals be monitored and measured going forward? It
is going to be very difficult. The United Nations is very honest. It is relying on the goodwill and the political will of leaders to ensure that they implement what's agreed upon. And in fact, it's going to happen today. Today it's a very historic day. Today, later in an hour's time, the world leaders will gather and they will adopt this Millennium Development, the Sustainable Development Goals, moving from the Millennium Development Goal. And South Africa is fortunate in a sense that these plans were started when we hosted a United Nations Summit on Sustainable Development. And therefore, countries such as South Africa, remember we chaired the G77, we played a prominent role in ensuring that we come up with these goals. We'll have to take a lead in ensuring that we encourage our peers in the continent and around the world to implement these goals.
All right, we're talking about 17 brand new goals. How will they be funded? We understand costs will be as high as $66 billion annually.
A political will, again. Heads of states must put aside money to ensure implementation, and therefore I believe because this time around there was a proper consultation, they will ensure that they put aside budgets. For an example, South Africa has already agreed that they will ensure that the development goals are aligned to our national development plan. Therefore, I believe that there is a political will. Leaders have been involved, and therefore they'll take ownership and they'll put aside resource and budgets to ensure that the goals are implemented.
Thank you, Sophie, for your time on the PM News Desk. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. That was Sophie Mokoena, the SABC's foreign news editor.